Navarre Raiders, stand up. Get on your feet. Mad child, baby. You know. Who wanna rumble with the Raiders? Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Navarre Raiders, get up. Let's go. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. Yes. You wanna rumble with the Raiders. Come on. Come on. You wanna rumble with the Raiders. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. Yes. You wanna rumble with the Raiders. Come on. Hey, yo, it's lights out. Whenever they turn the lights on, enough with the talking, baby boy, the fight's on. You wanna rumble with the Raiders? Listen, it's nothing, baby, we running through you haters. And you can hate us, cause we keep chips on our shoulder. You know why we the best, but now we gotta show you. Listen, better watch how you approach us. Y'all bugs to us and we'll stump you cockroaches. Simple and plain, quit is what you should really do. Put your game face on, it's about to get physical. This here's a game of strength, patience, determination. And you can never win if you lack in the motivation. And now you heard it from the source. Losing is not an option, you can hear it in our voice. We only play this game to win, and we gon' put it on the line every time and every chance we get. Cause we may never get this chance again. So when you rumble with the Raiders, understand you on the field with men. Why play if you ain't playing to win? You just wasting the Raiders' time. Listen.
Welcome to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here in getting ready for Week 9. Hard to believe, isn't it, Brian? Week 9 already?
It's crazy. It's already Week 9. I was thinking about the other day. It's like, wow, it's almost November.
Yeah, Brian Lister sitting in with me tonight, as everyone knows. Brian, the Navarre Press sports writer, covers Navarre football and all of Navarre sports. He'll be sitting in with me here in the first part of the show. We're going to go over a recap of last Friday night's win over Milton, a big district win for the Raiders as they moved to 2-0. Then we'll go over some stats from that game, offensive and defensively for the Raiders. Then we'll move on to our this week's AP poll, and it looks like Navarre moved up one spot from number 9 to number 8. We'll go over that poll here. I just pulled that off before I came out here this evening. And then we'll go on to our Super 7 Power Rankings, our schedule for this week, which is kind of limited thanks to Hurricane Michael. And then we'll go over our high school and picks from last week along with our college. Then we'll finish up with our former Raiders. Where are they now in the Gulf South Conference? And let's get on to the show. And welcome, Brian.
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
It's good. It's always good to have a individual on that also covers Navarre sports. And let's go over a little bit about last Friday night's game when we had another record fall.
Yeah, Dante Wright became the first Navarre Raider to get the 2,000 receiving yards, and it's kind of an impressive stat, especially when you consider the great receivers that Navarre has had. Obviously, one of them's in the NFL right now, in Jordan Leggett, so quite an accomplishment to get the 2,000.
I've been looking at some of the as I've been compiling a little bit of the Navarre history over the last few weeks, and the regular receiving record for a season is 67 by Chris Weaver. He did that back in 2007. He had a quarterback then at the time by the name of Austin Grimm, who took the Raiders to their first two playoffs in 2006 and 2007. Followed up by 62 by current University of West Florida Argonaut Quentin Randolph in 62 and 2014. Brad Leggett with 55, tied with his brother Jordan. They did that 11 and 12. And then Blake Malter with 47 in 2013. And you got a chance. You've been covering UWF over this past season. How's the season been going?
The Argos 5-2 lost a tough one to West Georgia, but West Georgia was as good as advertised, and obviously they wanted a little revenge after what the Argos did to him a year ago, getting him twice. But obviously former Raider Quentin Randolph having a heck of a season. I mean, he's really broken out, and it doesn't really surprise me that Quentin's done that. He's put in the work, and talking to him over the last couple of years, you could tell he was just working towards that moment, and he's finally taken advantage of it.
I'll tell you, I watched the highlights from the North Alabama game. And if you haven't seen the highlights, folks, one of the best catches in the back of the end zone that you will ever see. So go out and check out the highlights of Quentin Randolph's touchdown reception as they knocked off a Division I AA team.
They did, going on the road, beating North Alabama. I wasn't sure if they'd get that one, but they did. And then just coming home, and West Georgia just got the better of them. But this week, they got Florida Tech in the Coastal Classic, so that's a big one.
That will be a good matchup. Both teams 5-2, and but not only with the West Georgia did they get them last year twice, they got them last year twice on West Georgia's home field, and so there was definitely a revenge factor. And the second one knocked West Georgia out of the playoffs last year, but that should be a great matchup this weekend with Florida Tech. We'll go over Gulf South action coming up a little bit, but back to last Friday night's game. Marlon Courtney really coming into his own this season, isn't he?
He is. And I think the great thing about Marlon is obviously not only can he run the football really well, when he needs to, but he really does a great job of spreading the ball around and finding different guys open. And I think that's really made this Raiders offense a lot better. And because when you've got so many weapons you can go to, it makes it tough to defend. It makes leaves the defense guessing, and Marlon's just really stepped into that role, and he's owned it.
And one thing that he's doing now that he didn't do earlier in the season is run the ball. And people say, well, couldn't he run? No. Marlon, as you can find out watching over the last couple of games, when he wants to, he's like having another running back there in the field.
He is, and he scored one last week, on the run, and when you have a quarterback that can do that, it gives the Raiders another option to go to when they need one. And
I tell you, a lot of times, Brian, when I'm sitting there and he runs that option play, and I'm looking and I think the ball is still in his hands, and then here's Chris Williams going the other way, or Josh Carter going up the middle, or Marlon holding on to it and going wherever he goes. But he has kind of perfected that option play this year.
Yeah, they have. And, with the running backs he has back there, if he can sell it and make it work, it's going to work, and you're probably going to get 6 points out of it, with the touchdown. And, especially a guy like Chris, is having just a heck of a year. I know Coach Wallace has called him the hardest working guy on the team, and Chris has kind of proved it.
Yeah, I've liked Chris since his sophomore year when he ran the ball on the JV team, and I got on him a little bit last year. I was with him, talking with him and his brother Jordan over at Johnny Houston's one night, and it was like, where's that angry Chris that I remember? Because Chris runs angry, and when he's running north and south, he runs angry, and he goes, you're right, and I think he has gotten back to this year where he's running angry again.
He definitely is. I mean, I think he knocked that guy over at the Escambia game.
I was just getting ready to bring that up. Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so that was definitely an angry run on that play because he wasn't.
There was a penalty in the backfield. Chris broke off about a 40-yard run down on the far side of the field from my vantage point on the home side, and the corner came up, and Chris. The expression that they like to use these days is he trucked him. He definitely trucked him because the hit, and then they call the penalty, some bogus penalty on us on the far sideline, and erased the big run by Chris. But I love it when Chris is running hard because that means the Raiders are running the ball well and effectively. Let's get back to the start of that game. Another big play that the Raider defense gave up to start a game.
Yeah, and you start to wonder, oh no, are we in for another big first quarter by the opponent? But the Raiders really settled down quickly on that, and kept Milton in check, and got the offense going and put it away early, which is what they needed to do because you didn't want to give Milton the belief that they could hang around in that football game.
That's right. That was an 85-yard touchdown pass from Tyler Buchanan to a wide-open Marquise McRoy. I mean, there was nobody within about 10, 15 yards of him. I don't know, maybe just a messed up assignment or something, but the kick was blocked, something that the Raiders have been doing a lot over the last few games.
Yeah, and it's really helped out to be able to get those blocked kicks, the block kicks. When you can make those plays, you take a point away from a football team, or 3 points if they're trying a field goal. It can make a difference in the end on the scoreboard.
At the 139 mark, Chris Williams goes in for his first of 3 touchdowns, and Dante handles the extra point. We go to at the end of one. It's 7-6 Navarre, but that's where Williams would get started. He started the second quarter on the first play at 11:38. A 25-yard run, right kicks was good, and then the big pass play.
Yeah, Marlon found Dante, and the ball dropped right into his hands. I mean, it was as well executed of a play as you could ask for, and Dante, no one was catching him once he got his hands on it.
I was watching your interview with him the other night, and he goes, it seemed like the ball hung up there forever. I just was waiting for it to come down, and once I did, I knew I was gone.
Yeah.
And that put the Raiders up 21-6. Josh Carter would go in from 3 yards out, and we got to see Kevin Tace back on the field for the extra point.
Yeah, and it was good to see him. I know Coach Walls mentioned earlier in the year how frustrated Kevin was with not being able to get onto the field and play. Coach Walls just told him to be patient. Get healthy, and it's good to see him finally get his chance, because I'm sure he's been waiting for that opportunity to kick again.
I'm waiting for him because he's got some field goals in that leg of his. He's got a pretty strong leg. Milton would get on the board right before the half at the 128 mark, a 2-yard run by Lamonte Cunningham. Kick also no good, and the Raiders had a 28-12 lead. Feeling pretty comfortable at home.
Yeah, I didn't think – I thought, up 28-12 at halftime, the way the defensive played, the way the offense was clicking, I mean, felt pretty good that the Raiders were going to, just make the second half a formality and finish that thing out, and they obviously did.
Well, I was looking over the history of this rivalry with Milton, because it is a rivalry. They're in the same county, same district, and over the last 5 games, the Raiders had only given up 2 touchdowns in the last 5 games with 3 shutouts. And they had won 7 straight against Milton, outscoring them 236-47, I believe, going into this game. So the dominance, they have been pretty dominating over Milton over the last 8 years.
That's amazing. I didn't realize they had been. I knew the last couple of years they've been pretty good, and they got the shutout in 2015 or 16, and they're obviously when you can own a rivalry like that,
Milton started out winning the first 4 of 6 in the rivalry, but the Raiders have now won, I think it is, they've won the last 8 in a row, so they have an advantage over it, so 10-4 in the last 14 games over Milton. And hopefully they can keep one dominance running next week as we host Gulf Breeze, but we'll get into that one in just a little bit. We start out the third quarter. Right off the opening bat, once again, a 75-yard kickoff return by Chris Williams. He was hardly touched.
Yeah, I was surprised Chris got the kickoff return. That's a guy you don't expect to take off on a kickoff return, and there goes Chris. Yeah, no one touched him pretty much. He walked into the end zone almost.
What's been pretty interesting over the last few weeks is no matter who he puts back there, whether it's Quinn Caballero, Chris Williams, Dante Wright, or Evan Gorley, they have all done a pretty solid job in the return game.
Yep, and you got to have that to, you want to give your offense the best field position possible, and the better return you can get, the better off you are. But if you can take it into the end zone like Chris did, then that's the best outcome yet.
The Raiders would tack on one more touchdown in the third quarter at the 7:14 mark. Marlon Courtney in for his second touchdown of the season, a 22-yard run.
Yeah, and like you said, like you mentioned, Marlon being able to run the ball more lately and taking advantage of those opportunities, and hopefully he'll continue to do that.
And the running back of the future, at least for next year, scores the final touchdown in the fourth quarter. Jaden Antonio, he's been the third string running back, not getting a whole lot of carries, but he will get his due and is just deserved his senior year as well next year.
Definitely, Jaden's been kind of quiet lately. He had a good start to his year, but he had the big game against Choctaw, and to see him get back involved in the offense, that's always a good thing.
Speaking of Choctaw, were you a little surprised with that score with Niceville last week, 17-14?
I was considering how they had been, how badly they were handled by Navarre, and what Crestview beat them pretty soundly too.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty ugly.
I figured Niceville would do the same thing, but
So another 200-yard night for Marlin. The Raiders, as we look here, at 11 of 16 passing, 204 yards and a touchdowns, no picks. Actually, the Raiders didn't turn the ball over at all last week, and that's always a good thing. At 39 carries for 224 yards, and they love to mix it up. I mean, you have 6 different backs that had carries last week, and Josh Carter led the way with 76 yards on 11 carries and another touchdown for Josh. Dante, 5 catches, 140 yards, and a touchdown along of 78. And Chris Williams with 1 for 30. They've been hitting Chris out of the backfield over the last couple of games.
They have, and when you've got when you can use Chris in that way, I mean, it just makes that offense that much more dangerous. And obviously, the more options you have in that offense, the more ways you can use your players. The better off you're going to become. Especially the next 2 weeks, and obviously into the postseason.
We mentioned earlier that the Raiders have been giving up the big play early, but they always usually seem to settle down, and they settled down after that first quarter, and they were led on defense. 6 tackles for Josh Carter. Once again, he's been leading the team all season. Gabe Davis with a nice game with 6 as well. 4 each for Marvin Bryant and Isaiah Hayward. Hayward's really been stepping it up of late. Peyton Law had a nice game. He was actually my defensive player of the game last week. He had 4 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss.
Yeah, he's kind of been a nice surprise for the Raider defense. I mean, you think of guys like Josh and Jordan and, Gabe and guys like that, but, Peyton's really stepped up, and he's having quite the year.
And another individual that's been having it may not seem in his numbers, but he's been stepping up for the injured Alex Gilchrist and Mitchell Hunt is Jacoby Smith.
Yeah, Jacoby's kind of that. I remember talking to Jacoby at the UWF camp in the summer, and Coach Carter had mentioned him as kind of that to Coach Shinnikus. He's kind of that versatile guy. He can kind of do anything you need Jacoby to do, and obviously Jacoby's a great defensive player, but he can do a lot of other things if you need him to.
And I went talking with a couple of other defensive players, and they said Jacoby is probably one of the nastiest guys on the defensive line. That's not nasty in a bad way. That's nasty in a good way. And you don't want to get that young man angry on the field. And he's been a nice job punting the ball away this year, the majority of the punts. But it's nice when you have 6 defensive linemen that you can just rotate out. They've all been getting plenty of playing time. Jordan Jefferson's really been picking up his game the last couple of games on the front line there with Mitchell Hunt and Alex Gilchrist coming back off of the hand injury. And then the linebackers all season have just been playing solid.
Yeah, I mean, Josh obviously anchoring that linebacker core and that D line. With guys like Jordan and Jacoby and Alex and Mitch. I mean, you've got some depth there, and you can kind of keep guys fresh. Like you said, be able to rotate some guys in, and when you can do that, keep your guys fresh and give them some breathers. It makes a difference, especially when you get into those late in the game. And obviously the Raiders are well conditioned, but when you get late in the game and you got the guys can come in and not feel as tired, it makes a big difference.
Most definitely. We switched over from the offense to defense without recognizing a group of young men that have been getting it done all season. You have a couple of seniors on that offensive line, along with 3 sophomores. Coda Taylor mainly at center, Bryson Garner, and Trey Campbell, also seniors at the guards, and your 2 sophomores on the tackles. Jeremiah Chavez Moon and Elijah Melendez have been getting it done.
Yeah, and I think the offensive line, they really have made a lot of progress because it's a younger group and a lot of, at least inexperience-wise, but I think they really grew up, took a big step forward after that Crestview game, especially the second half of the Crestview game, and have really kind of carried that forward and continue to get better every week.
But step back, we didn't have a chance to talk much about that Escambia game. this looked like they took Escambia's punch in the face and weren't really able to come back after that 20-0 deficit.
Yeah, I mean, I felt good about halftime, going in. What was the score? I can't remember what it was at halftime.
It was 20-7 at halftime.
But you kind of felt good because of the way they had kind of shut things down a little bit for Escambia. And I thought, Navarre's going to find a way to get this, but they just couldn't make enough big plays. A few plays didn't go their way, a few breaks didn't go their way, and Escambia found a way to make the plays it needed to finish things off.
But no coach will like the statement that I'm about ready to make. Sometimes you need an L to tighten things up a little bit. No coach will ever tell you that an L is a good thing, but I think with this Raiders team, that L might end up helping them in the long run.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not going to, this is a team that isn't going to kick itself too long, let a game bother them for too long, a loss. And like Dante said after last week's game, we didn't let Escambia beat us twice, and they deal with the loss, they move on, and yeah, you're right. In the long run, this could be a very good thing for them.
In fact, I'm trying to remember the last time that the Raiders lost back-to-back games. It was probably, oh gosh,
I believe it was 2013, maybe 2014.
Possibly 2013.
I know, going back and looking somewhere in that 14 or 13, it was somewhere in there where they lost to Niceville and Choctaw back-to-back.
Yeah, you're correct. They lost to Choctaw, and then they lost to Niceville in the last, I think it was the last game of the season. But anyways, it was Choctaw and Niceville. It's been a long time. It was Niceville at the end of the season. Then they lost to the playoffs, so to Choctaw. But I don't see it happening again, especially since they come back with a W this time. Let's start talking about Gulf Breeze coming up this week.
Obviously a big game for both teams. The district championship is on the line once again, and I'm sure that's what everyone expected when this year began, just like the last 2 years. Both teams have a bye this week, and so they both get to put in that extra week of preparation, and I expect another hard-fought game next Friday night.
Most definitely, and the nice thing is it is at Bennett C. Russell Stadium, and the Raiders will have a little bit of revenge because the last time they met at Navarre, Gulf Breeze knocked them out, and the Raiders are not going to let that happen again. I believe it will be the 10th annual Beach Bowl Cup, Publix Beach Bowl Cup, next Friday night, and the Raiders have won all but one.
Yeah, that's impressive. They've gotten to have the trophy in their possession more times than Gulf Breeze has, and I'm sure Coach Walls would love to, and the guys would love to keep the trophy in Navarre for another season, and especially with what comes with it, as well as that trophy, the district title, and an automatic bid to the postseason.
I got to watch their game. I taped their game last week against Pace, and what a running back, two of the best running backs in the state in that game with Tyler Dittmer and Damian Bivens, and they showed it last Friday night. And one thing that is a little bit different for Gulf Breeze is they lost their quarterback about halfway through the season to a ACL injury. He's out for Dylan Kelly. But I've watched their quarterback the last two games, and he is getting it done for the Dolphins.
You got to have a guy, or at least you hope, someone could come in and be the next man up. And, I guess that's a sign of a good program, because good programs typically have that next guy up for them, and, no matter what the position is. And
it's a little bit different contrast in height, where Dylan was 5'7". Their backup quarter is 6'4". So you got about 7 more, about 9 more inches at quarterback. He's a little bit doesn't have a whole lot of meat to him, but he does run the ball effectively like Dylan did. But should be a great matchup next Friday night at Bennett C. Russell Stadium. This has been Irish Bill with Brian Lester. Thanks again, Brian, for coming aboard. Always a pleasure having you on the show. And let's get ready for that Gulf Breeze week.
Yeah, we'll see you next Friday night.
Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you, too.
Enjoy your weekend off.
You too, but I'll be in West Florida Saturday.
West Florida?
Partly a weekend off, part way.
I'll be up in Tennessee, in Jackson, Tennessee. as Miles College takes on Lane College up in Jackson.
Go for that
and it's
third
going to be
win
in the
a row.
upper 40s for back-to-back weeks. Last weekend we traveled up to Kentucky, and it was a cold day with gray skies and no sun at all. But for once, Miles came back with the victory instead of getting beat at the end. So it was worth the 10-hour drive up there, the 10-hour drive back.
There you go. It's always nice when you win, and I'm sure hopefully Miles will keep their win streak going.
They keep on winning. They will come into their last game against Tuskegee, and that's their big rivalry with a chance to play for the conference championships. If they win that game, they'll win the West, and they would face either Benedict or I'm trying to think who the other team is over there on this side. But Benedict is leading the east side of the SIAC conference right now. But if they keep on winning, they'll be in the conference championship, and they'll host.
Hey, that's not bad at all.
No. Well, thanks again, Brian.
Hey, no problem, Bill. Thanks
Enjoy
so
the
much.
rest of your night.
Yep, you
Brian
too.
Lester from Navarre Press sports writer. And we'll be back after this commercial break with more Irish Bill's Twist on Sports.
Craig Culver of Culvers.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culvers, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you've got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs, whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world. Her 15 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free market analysis and see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are behind you at the field or watching at home. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together.
One company is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Sounds like a big number, doesn't it? Not to Express Employment Professionals, seeking a skilled labor position, or administrative work. Maybe you're an executive looking for a career that fits. Good morning, everyone. We take pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Express Employment Professionals is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Let us help. We'll open doors for you. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. JockJive.com. We are literally taking the world by storm. Last year, more than 3,000 cities worldwide turned into our coverage of football, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. From T-ball to the NCAA Division I athletics, JockJive crews have traveled this nation to provide you the finest in sports coverage. So the next time you need the spotlight glaring on your sports venture, think JockJive.com. Maybe not the only internet sports channel, but the best one.
Shall I say it again? Yeah, you don't want to rumble with the Raiders. You don't want to rumble with the Raiders. Yeah, yeah. You want to rumble with the Raiders. Come on, come on, come on. Rumble with the Raiders. You don't want to rumble with the Raiders. Yes, you want to rumble with the Raiders. Come on, come on, come on. Rumble with the Raiders. You don't want to rumble with the Raiders. Yes, you want to rumble with the Raiders. Come on, come on. Rumble with the Raiders. You don't want to rumble with the Raiders. Who want to rumble with the Raiders? Come on, come on.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here in Week 9. It's hard to believe in Week 9 already, the high school season. The Raiders with the bye week this week, as a lot of teams are in the bye week this coming week, a lot of them in 6A. Excuse me, folks. And we've gone over the offensive stats that we've recapped last Friday night's game. And now it's time to move on to our AP rankings that just came out earlier today. Let's start with in Class AA. And at number 1, Atlantic Community. At 2, Vero Beach, Deerfield Beach, South Dade, Christopher Columbus Catholic, Wekiva, Palm Beach Central, Osceola, and Flagler Palm Coast, followed in the number 10 spot by Western out of Davie, Florida. In Class 7A, St. Thomas Aquinas in at number 1, Columbia 2, Lakeland 3, Dwyer 4, Plant 5, Venice 6, Edgewater 7, Tampa Bay Tech 8, Bloomingdale 9, Robert E. Lee comes in at number 10. In 6A, Miami Carroll City, followed by Miami Central, Vanguard, Armwood, Naples. Escambia comes in at number 6, Charlotte at 7. Navarre moves up from number 9 to number 8. And at number 9, dropping from number 8 is Miami Northwestern. Number 10 is Pine Forest out of Pensacola. And also with one vote as well, Niceville comes in. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Comes in at number 17 in Class 6A. Let's move over to 5A, where it's led by Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville, followed by Godby, Cardinal Gibbons, American Heritage Plantation, Rockledge, Jones out of Orlando, Jesuit, Hardy, Mosley out of Panama City, Menendez in at number 10, and West Florida in at number 12. Move over to Class 4A, University out of Fort Lauderdale at 1, Rains, Cocoa, Bishop Verot, Booker T. Washington out of Miami. In Class 3A, Chaminade Madonna at 1, Clearwater Central Catholic, American Heritage Delray Beach, Benjamin out of North Palm Beach, and Florida High out of Tallahassee. And Pensacola Catholic receives 6 votes in Class 3A. Class 2A, Seffner Christian, Victory Christian, University Christian, Zephyr Hills Christian, and Miami Christian. And in Class 2A, Madison County at 1, Pahokee 2, Baker 3, Hawthorne 4, Bluntstown at 5, and Port St. Joe comes in at number 7. It'll be kind of interesting to see how the seasons turns out for a lot of the teams from the Bay County area and around that surrounding area, Mexico Beach. I don't want to leave anybody out. What a devastating storm with Hurricane Michael that went through that area. But what I want to thank is all of the folks that have been over there supporting and bringing in supplies and providing comfort and care to all those individuals over there in that area that have lost so much and looking for just a little light at the end of their day. And it's nice to see the Panhandle region come together and all of the power and light companies that have been coming from out of state. It's always nice. It's not nice to have a natural disaster, but it is always nice to see that there are good people out there that come and support those that are in need, whether it be with food items, clothing, tarps for their roofs, charcoal lighters, just to make some food for the day. It's just been great to see all the people come together for those individuals over there in the Panama City area and north of there and south of there as well over Mexico Beach, Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, a lot of the little towns around there, Cottondale, and I don't want to leave anybody out. And Bluntstown, throw them in there as well. And just glad and happy that it makes my heart feel good to see that there are good people out there that come to help those in a time of need. And keep it going. It's going to be a long time coming for that area, as they will have to rebuild a lot of their infrastructure and just be with them and send your thoughts and prayers continually over to the Panama City area as they recover. And their football teams, they're going to have a game this Saturday at Tommy Oliver Stadium there, just off of the Bay High School campus. And Pensacola High School is going to travel over there to take on Mosley. And it's a game that it's not going to be charged. And any donations that they make and anything that comes in from that game, it will go to the recovery of that area. But if you're in the Panama City area and you want to get away from a little bit of what's going on in life right now and catch a football game over there Saturday afternoon over at Tommy Oliver Stadium, Pensacola High, and Mosley will be battling in 5A. There will be some other games going on this week, and I'm sure the schedule will change as we get closer to the end of the week. But not a whole lot of games going on this weekend because there was a lot of byes this week as well. But once again, let's continue to send our thoughts and prayers over to the Panama City area and that's in the surrounding area. And it's time to get out to Irish Bill's Super 7 Power Rankings and our Player of the Week. And rankings didn't change at all, actually. Niceville stayed at 1, Crestview 2, Escambia at 3, Navarre 4, Gulf Breeze at number 5, Pine Forest at 6, Mosley at 7. A lot of games, 3 games were canceled with my honorable mentions. West Florida was supposed to play last week. That game was canceled, as well as Arnold and Baker's, their games. Pace did play, and they're 4-3. They lost to Gulf Breeze. Those are my honorable mentions. My star of the week comes from Tate High School. Quarterback Hunter Riggin, he had 9 of 18 passing for 200 yards and a touchdown. And he also carried the ball 30 times for 153 yards and 2 scores. As Tate fell behind early against Escambia, and they fought back and still eventually lost 37-32. But my star of the week comes from Tate High. Congratulations, quarterback Hunter Riggin. And other noteworthy performances, quarterbacks Navarre Marlon Courtney, he had 11 of 16 for 204 yards and a touchdown. Escambia's Av Smith, 15 of 18, 172 yards and 3 scores. Pace's Cason Link, 6 of 8 for 158 yards and a touchdown. And he also contributed 53 yards on 10 carries and a score. And Northview's Ben Wilson, 11 of 21 for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Your running backs, of course, who leading the way, Gulf Breeze and Pace, as they faced off with each other last Friday night. Tyler Dittner came out on the better end with the win, the 45-42 win for Gulf Breeze. 31 carries, 289 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Pace's Damian Bivens, 34 carries, 211 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Escambia's Frank Pazant, 17 carries, 172 yards, and 2 scores. Pine Forest's Anwar Lewis, 12 carries, 166 yards, and a TD. Crestview's as Jay Stanton, another solid performance, 10 carries, 155 yards, and 2 TDs. Catholic's Jacoby Jackson, 7 carries, 152 yards, 3 TDs, and he also had 2 receptions for 47 yards. Northview's Jaden Jackson, 14 carries, 124 yards, and a score. And Washington's Julian Robinson, 30 carries for 102 yards. Your wide receivers, we only have a trio of receivers. Navarre's Dante Wright, 5 receptions for 140 yards and a TD, and also 3 of 3 on extra points. Tate's Patrick Palmer, 5 receptions, 133 yards, and a score. And Northview's Seth Killam, 8 receptions for 128 yards, actually 129 yards, and a TD. Your defense, I was very close to picking this young man. What a night he had last Friday night against the Gulf Breeze. Colton Bennett registered 25 tackles. 18 of them were solo. Pine Forest Nolan Rigby had 11 tackles, as well as Escambia's Ilyas Akbar. He had 11 tackles and 2 sacks. Pine Forest's Martin Emerson with 11 tackles as well. Catholic's duo Tyree Dunn with 10, C.J. Davis with 10, and Tate's Chandler McGuffey and Tate's Jacorius Qualls with 9 each, and 2 tackles for loss for McGuffey. Special teams for the Raiders, Chris Williams with a 75-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And our kickers, Pace's Blake Bullock, 6 of 6 extra points, 6 kickoffs, and 3 touchbacks. Catholic's Darren and Bredesen, 5 of 6 on extra points. Gulf Breeze's Matthew Shurik, 4 of 5 on extra points. But he did have the game-winning 34-yard field goal as time was winding down in that game, and a 45-42 come-from-behind win for the Gulf Breeze Dolphins. Escambia's Ronnie Perez, 4 of 4 on extra points, 1 of 1 on field goals. Kevin Tate, 4 of 4 on extra points. It's nice to see Kevin back out on the field. And Pine Forest's Dakota Weaver, 4 of 4. And that winds up as a short list with there was only 9 games last Friday evening. Actually 8 games on Friday, 1 on Monday, a makeup game. And but our Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings, Niceville 1, Crestview 2, Escambia at 3. Navarre comes in at number 4, Gulf Breeze at 5, Pine Forest 6, Mosley at 7. And our star of the week from Tate High School is Hunter Riggin. Let's get over the scores from last Friday night. There was only 9 games. Escambia 32, Tate 37-32. Pine Forest 36-0 over Washington. Gulf Breeze 45-42 over Pace. Crestview 55-0 over Fort Walton. Niceville 17, Choctaw 14. Catholic 41, Northview 22. Taylor County 35, Williston 6. And Monday night's game, Monroe 32 and Rocky Bayou 6. And that is win number 3 for former Escambia assistant coach Joseph Gaddy. So congratulations, Coach, on your 3rd win in your first season. And that's all the games from this past Friday night and Monday. And before we get over to our picks of the week coming up, and I forgot, I'm going to get these in a second. I got to pull them off my phone, but we'll have our picks coming up here momentarily, our high school and college picks. But we're going to take a commercial break. This is Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, and we'll be right back after this break.
Craig Culver of Culvers.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culvers, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef, and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you've got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs, whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world. Her 15 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free market analysis and see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are behind you at the field or watching at home. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together.
One company is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Sounds like a big number, doesn't it? Not to express employment professionals seeking a skilled labor position or administrative work. Maybe you're an executive looking for a career that fits. Good morning, everyone. We take pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Express Employment Professionals is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Let us help. We'll open doors for you. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. JockJive.com. We are literally taking the world by storm. Last year, more than 3,000 cities worldwide turned into our coverage of football, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. From T-ball to the NCAA Division I athletics, JockJive crews have traveled this nation to provide you the finest in sports coverage. So the next time you need the spotlight glaring on your sports venture, think JockJive.com. Maybe not the only internet sports channel, but the best one.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Getting ready to do our predictions for this week, but let you know how we did last week. We only had 9 games to pick last week because of Hurricane Michael, and I went a perfect 9-0 to win last week, and 8-1 by Mike and Joe. And on the season, I am 134 and 37 for 78.3%. Joe comes in at number 2 at 92 and 31, 74.8%, and Mike 126 and 45 at 73.7%. Let's get to this week's picks. First game, we have Catholic at Washington. Both Joe and I are going with Catholic. Then we have Choctaw traveling over to Tallahassee to face Leon. Joe's going with Choctaw. I'm going with the Leon Lions. I think that's their nickname. Lincoln at Escambia. That should be a great matchup. Joe's going with Escambia. I'm going with Lincoln on the road. Pace at Tate. I'm going with Pace over Tate, so is Joe. Northview at Baker. We're both going with the Gators at home. Holmes County at Vernon, and we're both going with Vernon at home. South Walton will be playing Freeport in a added game, and we're both going with South Walton. And Walton will be taking on Chipley, and we're both going with Chipley in that one. And a Saturday afternoon game that I was talking to you about earlier is Pensacola will be at Mosley. And let's move over as I need to pull up Joe's picks for this week. And we'll get Joe's. We'll go with our college picks here. Nothing like going on the fly. Last week, it was a rough week for all three of us in college games. Mike and I went 11 and 8, and Joe came in at 10 and 9. On the season, I'm 78.9%. Mike 78.3%. Joe 103 and 32 at 76.2%. Our games coming up this week, number 6 Michigan at number 24 Michigan State. We're both going with Michigan in that one. Number 9 Oklahoma at TCU. We're both going with Oklahoma on the road. Maryland at number 19 Iowa. We're both going with Iowa at home. Number 20 Cincinnati at Temple. Cincinnati will remain undefeated. And we're both going with the Bearcats on the road. Illinois at number 23 Wisconsin. We look for Wisconsin to come back after their big loss to Michigan this past week. Auburn at Ole Miss. We're both going with Auburn. As much as they've been struggling, we both are going to go with the Tigers of Auburn on the road at Ole Miss. North Carolina at Syracuse. Syracuse will be just too much for North Carolina on the road. Number 1 Alabama at Tennessee. And we're both going with Bama. Number 16 North Carolina State at Clemson. No upset there for either one of us. We're both taking Clemson. Colorado at number 15, Washington. And we're both going with Washington on the road. Penn State, number 18 at Indiana. Shouldn't be a contest there for the Nittany Lions for both of us. Wake Forest at Florida State. And we're both going with Florida State in that one at home. Wake Forest struggled after a 60-point loss to Clemson a couple of weeks ago. Number 22, Mississippi State at number 5, LSU. We look for LSU to keep on rolling. Number 10, UCF at East Carolina. We're looking for UCF to continue their winning ways. Number 2, Ohio State at Purdue. No contest there. We're both taking the Buckeyes. Number 12, Oregon at number 25, Washington State. And Joe is going with number 12, Oregon. I'm going with number 25, Washington State in the upset over Oregon as they head out to the Palouse out in Washington. And a stadium that only seats about 34,000. I bet you they wish they had about 60,000 tickets for that one. So we're both, he's going with Oregon, and I'm going with Washington State. Vanderbilt at number 14, Kentucky. And we're both going with the Wildcats at home. Drop down, we pick a couple of Division II games. I went 2-0 my Division II picks last week. Can't say much for my counterparts. And Miles College will be on the road at Lane College this Saturday afternoon. And I'm going with the Golden Bears. Bear down, baby. And it's going to be Miles looking for their third straight win. And Joe jumped to my side this week. He's going with Miles as well. And we're going to have a tough one out here in Pensacola. West Florida is hosting Florida Tech. Both teams 5-2, looking for a leg up in the Gulf South Conference, and we're both going with West Florida at home. So one different pick in our picks this week, and we'll get Mike's picks later as Mike's usually gets me in about Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and we'll have results of our picks from this week coming up in next week's show, as we'll be get ready for the Golf Breeze Navarre game. Big week coming up, and I'm going to try and get the Golf Press, Golf Breeze News sports writer Jason Thompson to hopefully come on my show next Wednesday night here at Culvers in downtown Navarre. So let's move on, and let's move over to our former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? New York Jets Jordan Leggett, they're 3-3 on the season. He had no stats in a 42-34 win over Indianapolis. Next up for them, they'll be hosting the Minnesota Vikings this Saturday at 1 p.m. kickoff. And out for the season, Jordan with 4 receptions, 23 yards, and a touchdown. Middle Tennessee State wide receiver Gatlin Casey's a graduate transfer. They're 3-3 on the season and 2-1 in conference play. He had 2 receptions for 16 yards and a 24-21 loss to Florida International. Next up for them this Saturday afternoon at 2 against Charlotte, where they will host. On the season, 10 receptions for 80 yards for Gatlin Casey and a 2-point conversion. Huntington College got on the winning column this for the first time this year, led by offensive lineman Chris Herring and Darrell Hickson. Mark Struck pitched in a solo tackle in the 52-17 win over Brevard. They moved to 1-4 on the season, 1-2 in conference play. Up next for Chris Herring, Mark Struck. Sage Chambers is out and redshirted this year in recovering from a torn labrum surgery. I wish all the best for Sage as he recovers. Huntington College also has Navarre Raider long snapper Garrett Schluter and Huntington College running back Chandler Cooper. Chandler played at Navarre up till his junior year. Then he played in Alabama his senior year. But you have 6 Raiders sitting in Montgomery for the Huntington College Hawks. Hawk 'em, as they like to say up there. 1-4 on the season, 1-2 overall. Kennesaw State's defensive end Kyle Aerosmith is a redshirt junior. They're 6-1 on the season and 2-0 in conference play. He had 1 solo tackle in a 56-17 win over Gardner Webb. This week they'll be hosting Charleston Southern. Actually, they're off this week. They'll be hosting Charleston Southern on the 27th at 6 p.m. For the season, Kyle with 4 solo tackles. Trinity Bible College wide receiver Alex Watley. They're 3-4 on the season, and he's a redshirt senior there at Trinity Bible. They're 3-0 in conference play. He had 1 reception for 26 yards and 1 carry for 8 yards in a 41-6 win over Haywood College. And next up will be at Lewis Clark Valley this Saturday at 1 p.m. For the season for Alex, 12 receptions, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 carry for 8 yards, and 8 kickoff returns, where he's averaging 19.8 per return. Birmingham Southern's defensive back Dylan Main, they won, and he had 4 solo tackles and an interception. His 3rd interception on the season in a 13-10 win over Sewanee. For 4-2 overall, 2-2 in conference play. And next up for them, they will be hosting Austin this Saturday at 2 p.m. in Birmingham. Season stats for Dylan: 25 tackles, 17 solos, 8 assists, 3 interceptions, and a half a sack. Texas Tech defensive back Tommy Leggett, a redshirt sophomore. They're 4-2 on the season, 2-1 in conference play. He had a solo tackle in a 17-14 win over TCU. Next up, they will host Kansas this Saturday at 2:30 kickoff. On the season, Tommy with 7 tackles, 5 solos, and 2 assists. West Florida's wide receiver Quentin Randolph, a redshirt junior. They're 5-2 and 3-1 in Gulf South Conference action. He had 1 reception for 36 yards and a 27-7 loss to West Georgia last week. Next up this Saturday against Florida Tech at 4 p.m. kickoff. On the season, Quentin with 15 receptions for 246 yards, averaging 16.4 per catch, and he has produced 2 touchdowns. Miles College kicker Brady Hamill, the Golden Bears got their 2nd win in a row. They've improved to 2-5 and 2-1 in the SIAC West Conference. And he had 2 kickoffs in the 24-21 last second win over Kentucky State this past Saturday. Next up, they'll be at Lane College at 2 p.m. kickoff. And for the season, 14 kickoffs for Brady and 2 extra points. And he also had a tackle in the game up in Chicago. Maryville College linebacker Bo Herring, he's a sophomore. They're 3-2 and 3-0 in conference play. There are 4 solo tackles and a sack in a 34-9 win over Methodist this past Saturday. Next week this week they'll be on the road at LaGrange at 2 p.m. kickoff. And on the season, 19 tackles, 12 solo, 7 assists, and a sack for Bo Herring. University of North Carolina running back Michael Carter. They lost a tough one to Virginia Tech, 19-17. Actually, it was 21-19, and they fall to 1-2 in ACC action. Michael had 18 carries, 165 yards, 2 receptions for 19 yards in the 21-19 loss. But with his efforts, Michael was selected as the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. So congratulations goes out to Navarre alum Michael Carter on his selection as the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. They'll be on the road at Syracuse this Saturday at 12:20 kickoff. And for the season for Michael, 31 carries, 268 yards. He's averaging 8.6 per carry. He has 9 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. Auburn University's offensive lineman Nick Brahms, he started at center once again for Auburn in the 30-24 loss to Tennessee. They're 4-3 on the season, 1-3 overall in conference play. This Saturday they'll be on the road at Ole Miss for a 12 p.m. kickoff. Sam Houston State wide receiver Tevin Stevenson, a redshirt freshman. They're 4-2 overall, 3-1 in conference play. He had no stats in a 42-28 win over Northwestern State. This week they'll be on the road at Lamar for a 3 p.m. kickoff. 2 receptions, 12 yards on the season for Tevin Stevenson. Florida Tech defensive back Tyson Brown, a redshirt freshman. They're 5-2 overall, 2-2 in conference play. He did not play in the 51-21 loss to Valdosta State this past week. On the road this week at West Florida, a 5 p.m. kickoff. College of Sequoia's defensive lineman Josh Doxey. They're 1-5 overall, 0-1 in conference play. They lost 34-21 to Modesto. And this week they'll be hosting San Joaquin Delta at 1 p.m. And Josh is being redshirted this year. Ave Maria University offensive lineman LaMarcus Smith with another start. Actually did not start because they did not play this past week, and they had an open week. And they're 3-3 on the season, 2-0 in conference play. Next game will be this Saturday at 3 p.m. kickoff at Edward Waters. Troy wide receiver Jordan Williams and Troy running back Amari Green are walk-on freshmen at Troy. And they're 5-2 on the season with 3-0 in conference play. And they did suffer a setback this past week, 22-16 to Liberty. And this week they'll be off this week, but they'll have a Tuesday game next week at South Alabama at 7 p.m. kickoff. Well, there's your former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? Now it's time to move over to the Gulf South Conference. Conference standings, results, and schedule from this past week. And now let's go over the standings. Sitting at 5-0 in Gulf South Conference play, Valdosta State, 7-0 overall. West Georgia comes in at 4-0, 7-0 overall. West Florida and North Greenville both at 3-1. West Florida 5-2 overall. North Greenville 4-2. Your 2-2 teams are Florida Tech and West Alabama. Both teams 5-2. Mississippi College 0-3, 2-4 overall. Delta State and Shorter both 0-5 in conference play and 0-7 overall. And Shorter with a 35-game losing streak. Hopefully one of those days they're going to break that. And our Week 7 results, North Greenville 41, Shorter 7, West Alabama 17, Delta State 14, Valdosta State 51, Florida Tech 21, West Georgia 27, West Florida 7, and North Alabama 34, Mississippi College 24. Your games coming up this weekend, West Alabama at West Georgia, North Greenville at Valdosta State, Florida Tech at West Florida, and Mississippi College at Shorter. And your bye week goes to Delta State. And there's your Gulf South Conference results and schedule coming up. And we're done with another show. And before we head out, once again, I'd like to thank Randy and Honey Smith for allowing me to come into their establishment here at Culvers and bring you Irish Bill's Twist on Sports for my 5th year, my 2nd year here. And Coach Wall's update, 21 years, 169-86 record overall. 17 playoff appearances, looking to add number 18 this season. And the Raiders in his tenure with the Raiders, 66-16 in 82 games. Pretty impressive record for Navarre head coach Jay Walls. Well, we won't see you Friday night. We'll be back on the air next Wednesday night right here in the same spot, same time, same place, same bat channel. Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. And we'll be ready for Gulf Breeze Navarre Rivalry Week next Friday night. And it's for all the marbles in District 26A between Gulf Breeze and Navarre for the second consecutive season. And it should be a great game coming up. You can watch all of it live on JockJive.com next Friday night from Bennett C. Russell Stadium. And Phil Williams will be joining me back in the booth. But until then, may the wind ever be at your back. This is Irish Bill signing off. Good night, Navarre.